Hello. Okay, this stream is going to be a much more personal stream. I've wanted to do this for a little while. I haven't had the opportunity to. La 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 la. Excuses, excuses. But, like, more recently, I felt the need to get this out there because I've seen people replying to my comments that I leave on TikToks and YouTube videos, and they're always like, oh, well, you can't possibly have it like this bad, and you like there's no way you have it this bad. And I'm like, I will explain the entirety of my life and why I think it's pretty bad for me. um I mean, I would like to say that first of all, COVID definitely didn't help with when it happened, how it affected my life and where my viewpoints are now on it, whether or not I feel like I'm best with or without it. um Yeah, I think, although I think in any scenario, no matter what, I would have turned out the same way. I just think I would be, so I think right now, if I was feeling the way I feel, um, emotionally and mentally, I would just be older. I think I'd be older by about maybe a year or two. So I think I'd be 17 or 18. Um, Feeling this way, feeling like I should make this video or stream, and it's just it's that whole process. It's like, what do I think would have happened and how I think it would have gone down? Like, how do I think this would have all occurred if I think that I would still be sat here streaming and, you know, trying to do my best to do certain things, and like how these things can affect my life. And I think I think that is just like the most important part, is that like I focus on that. Like I focus on the fact that my life is my life. I have to live with it for the next however many years I'm going to be alive. So I may as well like spread my story. Um, so hey, I'm the Paper Bag Boy. If you've never seen me before on any platform, currently you're probably watching this on YouTube most likely. I hide my face, I hide my name, I hide a lot of my own personal life until now. Now I'm starting to get more into my personal life because I've seen people come out about their personal lives as faceless YouTubers or there's like similar stuff like that. And I want to explain things in the best way I possibly can, because this is ultimately just, it's my life, and it's affecting, my life affects the way I am on camera, quote unquote on camera. I've only been on camera in this entire time as the Paper Bag Boy like once, and that was like the last stream I did, because I used my webcam. But it affects how I am on stream. It affects how I record. It affects how the majority of my life has been over the last 16 years. And I feel like that is just, it's worth putting out there. So to start it off, I'm going to start off with what caused everything to kind of spiral, and that is my parents' divorce. Also, I didn't script this beforehand, so I am just kind of like hoping that this all kind of works. Basically, my parents' divorce, I wouldn't say affected me massively. I was like 5 or 6 at the time, and I would actually argue that it barely even entered my brain that my parents were getting a divorce. I don't think I actually understood what the word divorce meant, so my brother had to break that news to me. I think he did it on accident, though. I think he thought I knew what the words divorce meant. I didn't, but that's fine. But it definitely started the majority of I've, what I would consider I've experienced for worse. And one of those, so basically one of those things was my, basically my parents divorced. I spent a couple more months in that current primary school that I was in before moving to the town I live in now. And I just, I didn't know how to be new. I was always around people that knew me before. I didn't know how to be around new people. And that was scary. But I think every kid that's ever had to move schools has experienced the fear of having to make new friends and having to be approachable. But I didn't even have to do that. I had to sit next to the the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Sashino. Me and him met in that primary school. Um, and me and him instantly, and I mean like basically instantly, spontaneously, just got along. I only I only knew for a fact that I considered him a bit weird at first, because well, I don't know if he's ever shared this, so I'm not gonna share it. So like, but yeah, there was something about him that just like I didn't know whether or not that was normal for him, or if he was just one of those kids that got away with it because he just argued with them all the time, and if he just like if he just got to do that, got to have that, then he'd be able to come into school and actually learn. So they had to basically have that ultimatum, and that's what they did. Um, but I was completely wrong. It was more of a personal preference and a form of comfortability. So I don't think that's a word, but it made him comfortable, and I was like, okay, fair enough. But basically, this is where I also met the majority of the group of friends that I have now. I met Raven, who I've mentioned in a past stream before. I don't know if I've ever really brought him up too much on YouTube, but I brought him up on past streams. He's a good friend of mine. I brought him up on Sushino's stream once. Um, I don't actually know if Sushino understood who I was talking about, but you know. Um, and I met him there, and there were a bunch of other people, but I would say he's currently the most relevant because he's still within that circle of my friendships. Um, quite a bit actually. I've actually had to defend him on several forms of allegations in school about cheating, but I know for a fact that he hasn't cheated because I've been there for the majority of his relationships, and the relationships I haven't been there for haven't lasted long enough for him to be able to cheat. Um, he hasn't had the time to, you know, he hasn't had the time to necessarily determine whether or not those people were worth cheating on. So I wouldn't say that he was able to cheat on them. Um, People argued that a lot. Um, a girl I despise with pure passion hated him and ruined a possible relationship for him by saying that he had cheated on several of his ex-girlfriends. But that's not the point. Basically, I met him in that same primary school. It was around year 4 when I met them both, and that was my friend group going on until around like year five-ish time, COVID hit. Um, COVID hit towards the end of year five, so I didn't get to experience the end of year five. Um, and because of lockdown, and I jumped right into year six. Basically, the point where I went into year six, I got on off online schools or something like that. I don't even think we had online lessons, but I basically gone from 2 weeks at home due to lockdown, scared out of my life, to being in year six and still scared for my life. I didn't know what COVID was. I didn't understand it. I didn't want it to happen anymore. I hated it. But basically, the group of friends I have were were such a positive influence on me. I would say because they, to me, they taught me how to be who I am now. Sure, they might not have done it intentionally, but they definitely did it, and for that, I'm thankful. Some of them I still talk to. Some of them I talk to very occasionally. Some of them I don't talk to at all anymore. And that's just life. Sometimes life will be that way. But yeah, so around PGL time, me and Raven stopped really getting along. Uh, and that was because me and him had a mutual friend. I'll call him L. Um, just just to get out there, just to avoid naming him because I'm pretty sure he doesn't want his name on social media at the moment. But yeah, his name is L, like the letter L. Um, he he didn't really know what was going on between me and Raven. And I'm gonna be honest, I think Raven now believes that was just a petty argument that he didn't need to have with me or anything. But basically, Raven was angry that Sashino had brought me into the friend group that apparently Sashino was never even a part of, and then started being like the group leader. This entire time, I was like, okay, being the group leader sounds cool, but I'm willing to bet like it's just annoying because I didn't see anyone as group leader until basically L and Shishino started bickering about who started the friend group and all that. And I was like, I'm just gonna take someone's side and run with it because I honestly couldn't care less. That's right, Big Bear Gamer. I turned off my chat pop up image, but yeah, that's alright. I should be available tomorrow. I might be available tomorrow, like late tomorrow though. Anyways, what's up with the friend group? Basically, no. So I'm going through like the past friend group. Basically, me and Raven, because I'm not gonna say his real name. He kind of started taking a disliking towards me. Uh, oh, that's good. Don't say you're afraid, bro. Good luck on the date, bro. Good luck on the date. Is Raven the one in the group chat? No, that his username is Darth Fa. So his name's in the username. So it's fine. But basically, Raven is a friend that I have. Oh, that's a game username. I'm not gonna read that. Anyways, Raven is someone in my current friend group that I hang out with Darth Fa in the friend group as well. But nickname, yeah, I was gonna say, but basically, Raven started taking a disliking towards me because our mutual friend and I had gotten along quite well for the past like 2 years at the time. And so it was just he, I think, felt a bit. I don't know. It might have been jealousy. I don't know. But like me and that mutual friend were never actually that close. I wouldn't say that we were close. I would say that we were just friends, and that's basically as far as. Like, I wouldn't ever go as far to say that he's my best friend and that he's ever been my best friend. I don't think that could ever necessarily be said about him. But I know Raven felt a bit jealous, I guess, that I was also friends with his friend, and that Sashino had introduced me to this friend group that apparently he was never even a part of. But I was under the assumption that he was, because otherwise, why would he take me over there to meet his friends? But yeah, so um, basically, over the span of time, I think Raven realized during PGL that he was being petty. He had no actual reason to say anything or to do anything. Like there was a point where I was trying to talk to our mutual friend, and he decided that he's gonna try and pick a fight with me, and that pissed me off. And I was like, that that makes zero sense to me. Basically, after PGL, we were meant. I think it might have been before actually, but we were meant to do SATs that we didn't have to do. Trying to make an educated guess on who Raven is. You can try, but I'm never going to confirm it unless you message me privately on Discord or something about your guesses. So, um, but basically, after PGL, Raven calmed down. He started to actually like he started to actually talk to me a bit more and actually sort out the situation within his own head, which I'm pretty sure he realized that it was just a dumb argument that he didn't need to try and start. But I never even gave him the time of day for it. So I was just leaving that situation in the past, and I was like, he was being an idiot. It's not the first time. It sure as hell won't be the fucking last. And we moved on to year 7 of secondary school, where we hadn't had SATs, so we didn't sit SATs, so we didn't have anything for the secondary school to go off of other than our classwork, which landed me in, guess what? Bottom set every fucking subject. Maths bottom, English bottom, science bottom. Yes, it is. Uh, any subject that had like a one to like one being top and three being bottom. If any like subject in school that had that system, I was in three. I was in the bottom set. I was trapped there, and no matter what I tried to do, I couldn't get out of the bottom set, which was just great. It was just fucking amazing. So, yeah, that didn't necessarily matter too much to me in the end because I had a decent group of friends. I had met a couple new people that I'm going to be honest, I'm still friends with the majority of them now. Even some of them that I don't really talk to, I talk to them more often than I talk to mine and Raven's mutual friend. L, as I said, that his name was just going to be undisclosed. But basically, after that, we kind of just I slowly realized that being in a large friend group wasn't good. And I also, around like the end of year seven, started deciding that I was going to grow my hair out, which is still growing. I have not like cut the majority off of it. I've trimmed it every now and then, but I've not cut a load off in a while. Basically, after that, he Raven was in a friend group of a bunch of people. Okay, well, uh, maybe in the future, buddy. But basically, Raven was in a friend group of people that started having dramas, and I didn't want to be involved with dramas because the majority of it was just bullshit that didn't need to be talked about and bullshit that never should have happened. With it being mostly about three girls that were in the group: P, LA, and C. I'm going to call them all that: P, LA, and C. LA, to me, and I'm going to use a misogynistic term here, so warning, LA to me seemed like a bit of a slut. She was trying to bounce from each person in the friend group and tried to date basically all of the decent looking guys in the group, and I noticed this. I was pissed with it, so I decided to distance myself away from that group after having basically a mental breakdown about it and how I don't trust those girls. The only one I actually talk to now is P, and that's because they are actually better now than they used to be, right in like year eight. So around that point, my friend group split in two as well. So I was jumping. Is that the one on the call? What? The call we had? Oh, that call. No. Everyone I have mentioned has actually not been on that call. Anyway, so P is the only person I talk to now because they have actually matured, I would say. Um, but LA and C left the school. LA is still in the school, but I would call an unreal bitch. Um, simply of the fact that she hasn't been nice to anyone that I've been able to see, other than her friends, and that's not how being human works in my eyes. Um, Gonna message you all these people. Maybe. Let's see if I can remember who I mentioned. Um, Basically, I in year nine, I realized that both friend groups that I was just like I was basically trying to maintain and keep all of my old friends from primary school by jumping in between these two friend groups constantly and trying to do like at break I would hang out with one and then at lunch would hang out with the other, and it just wasn't working, especially because both groups were starting to have their own dramas involving group leaders or some bullshit, and I was starting to dislike some of the people in group one. Group two just had too much going on for me, so I decided to just say fuck you to both of them and left and went into the current friend group I'm in, which I would say is probably the most positive impact I've had on my life. I wouldn't currently be streaming right now as the paper bag boy if it wasn't for this group of people, which again, huge positive improvement from my last two friend groups. But I would say the only negative thing was I, at this point, was already very, very depressed with the whole thing going on that Like, I haven't gone into huge details about what has made me depressed, but that's because I skimmed over a lot of COVID-19. COVID ultimately, like, with the mix being year four, my parents had just like fully finalized the divorce, and my dad was already dating someone new. I had just moved schools, so I wasn't exactly comfortable mentally or emotionally or physically. So that was an issue. Year five, COVID hit, and I had to deal with that, as well as having in year four, having to deal with my cousin's passing, who passed away from cancer. So that, again, quite a lot going on there for me. And it's not like my cousin's passing really affected me too much. I wasn't exactly old enough to fully understand who they were or how much I'd actually known them for, like who I'd known them for, like what they did to make them memorable, because that was my brother's thing with them. My brother, um, Auntie, we'll call him because that's a part of his username on my Xbox. He basically he basically saw her as a sister, not a cousin, and they were so attached. So I had to go to her funeral in year four, and I was still trying to deal with all that in year five. Year six was a second lockdown, and so I missed the SATs, along with the drama with the Raven. So I had already had to deal with it quite a bit in my own way, and in my own way, it was just too difficult. I ultimately determined that I didn't want to live, so yeah, I think it was like year eight, I started self harm. I also started attempting suicide, which is a big part of my life now. I still self harm. It's calmed down quite a bit since I've had more positive impacts on my life since the beginning of like, year 11. Most of what I've had to deal with has been quite positive, so that's lucky. But a lot of my life has been negative, and I'm glad that I'm getting some more positive in my life. Um, yeah. So in year eight, I attempted suicide. It's the only time I've attempted suicide, but I have constantly thought about. I've constantly thought about potentially trying again to do that. Um, but again, positive impacts in my life more recently have helped those thoughts kind of be drowned out. Um, but the self harm still happens, and I can't exactly just stop self harming. I would say that the majority of it has calmed down because I've realized that I haven't got as much to worry about anymore. I'm not panicking about whether or not I'll die alone because I've got a girlfriend, and I feel like I know that most people were like, thanks. I'll keep that. I'll keep that in mind. Um, but yeah, so my so like year 10, I had this issue where I didn't. So, ugh, the last relationship that I have had at this point was with my ex, and that ended in year 8. Year 10, someone in my friend group at the time, they're not in the friend group anymore. We kicked them out due to a lot of issues. Um, but basically, they admitted to liking my current girlfriend. At the time, I wasn't dating her, and I felt a sense of jealousy. I got angry, jealous, and overall really pissed that he could just say it. I hated that he was so confident in his words. I just fucking hated it. I hated him, and I still do. Which helped me realize that I have liked this girl at this point in year 10. I had liked this girl for a year, basically. Basically a year. Um, and she said that at this point, three, like at this point, two of the three main people she talks to in the friend group had liked her. That was me, this guy that I was jealous of, and Darth Fa. Darth Fa got rid of his feelings and was like, I'm moving on because he got rejected. The guy I was jealous of knew he wasn't. He figured he wasn't gonna get any relationship out of it, but he was hoping for a relationship, and I had to be basically that middleman for them. And I hated that. I hated having to see him messaging me going, progress, progress. I'm like, leave me alone. All I want to do now is smash my head into a fucking brick wall. And then I told her how I felt in a paragraph of text. And I got the same result. I got rejected. And that may shock some of you because I am now dating her. Basically, after that, I got worse mentally. After getting that shocked me. um, After that, I got worse mentally and emotionally. Most nights, I was just crying. Most nights, I had something sharp near me, and I would just be so tempted to end it in the most brutal and gory ways. And I have imagined several ways of how I would die because of just over the times that I had been rejected, I felt just completely unwanted and unnecessary for this planet. And the girl who rejected me basically turned into my therapist. I would go to her about all these issues, and she would simply put things. And yeah, I now have two reminders in the back of my phone case. One says, "Today and every day you are loved." The other says, "You are so close to the victory. Don't you dare give up now." I I'm pretty sure she gave me both. I can't remember for a fact, but I know for a fact she gave me the first one I read. And she gave me that Valentine's Day a year ago. Um, so yeah, and that was because Valentine's Day a year ago, I had realized that if she had said yes, I would be spending it with her. And I saw people being happy because they were in relationships and they got to be all cute with their girlfriends or boyfriends, and I was just pissed because I had experienced one of the worst rejections of my life before her, and then her rejecting me, and it hurt over and over. Um, and I didn't know what I would do with myself. So, of course, like I said, mental, my emotional and mental health declined very quickly, and I got suicidal again. When year 11 started, I figured I would be alone. And I was so wrong. I, like, a couple months into year 11, I think, I don't even think it was a couple months into year 11. I think so basically at the beginning of year 10, I told her I liked her. I got rejected. At the end of year 10, I was basically planning out suicide. And at the beginning of year 11, like, I think, oh god, well, we're nearly at 5 months now. So that's, oh God, 5 months. 5 months. We got together in November of 2025. And tomorrow we will have been together for 5 months. Tomorrow, as of streaming this, on the 15th of March 2026, literally in like basically 6 minutes, we will have been together for 5 months. My longest relationship lasted 6. Geez, that went fast. Yeah, it went by really fast because I still feel like it's the first month of mine and her relationship because and the way I know that I feel that way is because I'm still completely head over heels for her. Like, I don't care about the majority of the bad things going on in my life because I'm too focused on her. And I know that's going to come back to bite me in the ass later, so I'm going to deal with that later. I can respect it. Thanks. um, yeah, so basically 5 months now. But I had figured out when me and her got together, she started doing the math and she realized that she had liked me since April 2025, which I believe it will have been a year since she started liking me next month. Is the next month? April. Yeah, so it would have been, so next month, it would have been a year since she realized she started liking me. And she regretted rejecting me. I don't know how she started liking me. When me and her first met, I was a complete dick to her, and I hate the fact that I treated her so badly. Um, but I slowly treated her better and better as time went on. Damn, that's cold. Yeah, like life's amazing. Uh, basically, she realized that she liked me, regretted rejecting me, and had to figure out a way to either get over her feelings for me or to try to admit that she liked me and see how I'd react. She went with that second one in November, and I would say that in October I started to see an improvement in my mental health because by a month of me and her dating, I had properly realized that it wasn't me still. Like, I had realized that I feel the same. Hold on, I feel like I've gotten things wrong. Was that October or November we got together? It was November because in October, right? Yeah. Okay. So in October, hmm, you did what I did. What? I'm very confused. Anyways, I'll continue until you. You said you got with her in November, and in October you had been dating for a month. No, because those months, October comes before November. I placed October where December should have been. No, because me and her started dating in November. I put October where December is meant to be. That's my issue. Yeah. Um. Basically, in October, I had asked another girl out, got rejected, and then this is why I love you. Thanks, man. um, but basically in October I got rejected by another girl, and again felt really unwanted. And then one day I realized that I still liked the girl I'm now with. Still liked her. Hated the fact that I still liked her because I thought she didn't like me back. Like, and I thought she never fucking would. Um, until basically the next month, she messages me talking about uh how she feels, and I can probably actually pull up the message. Let me see if I can, because that would be really funny. Um, Careful. I have every intention of being careful. You might make me more jealous. Um, okay, I don't actually think don't think I'm actually gonna find it that easily. I just need to find. Okay. I'm trying to see because this is fucking annoying me now that I'm not able to find it. How am I not able to remember the exact message she sent me? What the fuck? What the fuck did you do? Why smart detection? Bro, stop chatting that. Smart detection thought you were trying to put in some weird fucking link that will hack me. Stop. I'm trying to. God, it's so annoying doing this. Oh God. I. You understand now? No, I don't. I still don't understand. Okay. Well. Oh God. Hold on. I'm gonna have to put my microphone down. Maybe actually, I might not have to. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. I think I might. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So. Okay. So. It starts with. So I don't know if you know, like the fucking. It's a trend on. It's been a trend on TikTok for a while where you tell your best friend you like them with a song that says their name, darling, you're my best friend, but there's a few things you don't know of. Then it's like using. It's just I want to ruin our friendship. We should be lovers instead. Meme. Uh, Basically, I had to tell her about the trend and how it works, and she she learned it from a friend. Um, and basically they they demanded that we do it. Um, so I basically told her about I need this video. Uh, I basically told her about the trend, and she said, "Heh, I'm gonna regret this, but fuck it, we ball." In all honesty, and I know this is completely unfair on my part, but that doesn't mean there wasn't a slightest bit of truth to it. I'm going now. She immediately left the chat as soon as she virtually confessed. Um, and I at this point I was wondering if she was just like being annoying and playing with my feelings and trying to see if I still liked her and to see if someone put her up to this as a prank. And I was just scared that it was all going to be fake and that I was going to wake up. Um, Basically, so I basically said that I have a guess. So judging by the trend it was, the only logical guess I have is that you like me a bit. Right or wrong? She said left. The one on the left was right, so that's what I went with. And she said that's not what I was going with, but yeah, it's okay. I know you don't like me, but I felt like I had to say something because you're my best friend, and I had to be honest, you know. And then I, in my dumbass world, took like I read that shit in seconds and went. In all honesty, I never stopped liking you. Yes, I liked other people and focused on them because I didn't think you'd ever like me, and I knew I needed to get over you, but I just couldn't. Not even a day ago, I figured out completely that I still liked you a lot. Every time I told someone that I didn't like you, I felt my heart drop because I knew I was lying. And then throughout the time, we didn't necessarily confirm whether or not we were dating until very much later in the day. and and so when we confirmed that we were dating, life felt fucking amazing for me. Like the entire day, I was just thinking about that and that alone. I have noticed that since my mental health has got better, to my shock, to my absolute fucking shock, my mental health and emotional health has gotten better. To the point where instead of just being like, I want to die in the mornings, sometimes I am actually quite energetic. Like even now, the energy I'm getting is off of being able to read those messages back and freak the fuck out again. Um, but like I, I always forget how nice that day was for me. I had gone out for dinner with my family in that same day, and I had gotten to tell them that I was dating. She had the struggle of telling her parents, but yeah. I'm not going to get into that. That's not my story to tell. So basically, I went from feeling depressed, suicidal, and self harming to feeling slightly suicidal to and like still self harming, but like it's getting better. I'm not naturally just doing it anymore. I'm not just naturally self harming anymore. It's not the first thing that I think of, and I no longer feel like I'm completely alone. Who wins the whole of Marvel or Goku? The whole of Marvel. CC Goku. The whole of Marvel. Do you know how many versions of each character there is? Whole of base Marvel. I consider base Marvel just like just movies. Oh, in that case, CC Goku. Because there are so many people there that the heroes would get distracted, and CC Goku would take that as an advantage. If we were going off of comic book Marvel, CC Goku's fucked because there are people like Thanos, people like Doctor Von Doom, people that have gone the. I disagree though. You disagree in the sense that the movie versions of Marvel would be able to can just erase them all. All right, Thanos can erase the entirety of every planet if he wanted to with the Infinity Stones, bro. That means nothing. And the fact that Doctor Doom in a universe has been able to kill Thanos alone says something more. CC Goku would have nothing if it was on the comic book versions, but because it's on the movies, those heroes can get overwhelmed quite quickly, and CC Goku would just kill them. Anyways, bit of a sidetrack. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, so that kind of explains it slightly. um, but yeah, I have improved, and I felt like coming on here and telling my story and telling everything, saying everything that I've been through because the amount of times that I have been told that what I had been through meant nothing and it should mean nothing to me hurts. And I will say this now as a like as what contributed to it. My dad is a horrible drunk a lot of the time, and he kept on refusing to agree that I had autism, even though I had been diagnosed. So yeah, Jesus Christ, big bad game ever. Uh, so yeah, my dad didn't believe my autism existed, which pissed me off in itself. Um, and when he was drunk, he could be quite aggressive for the majority of the time, which also pissed me off. It felt like he was just existing, and even now, I don't even really consider him my dad. Really, I consider him just the man I go to every now and then, and the man that pays for a lot of my shit. But yeah, and I had also been diagnosed a year ago with a year and a couple months ago now with Crohn's disease, which is a bowel disease, which means I have bowel issues. It's basically IBS, but it blood, yes, blood, which is in IBS, and I think it's on a higher frequency, like it happens more often. Um, but basically, the treatments I was on weren't working. I had to deal with a lot of issues. Now the treatments I'm on are working, so yay. And then there was just every now and then there was just something wrong with my life, like tinnitus. I have glasses that I need to wear, which kind of were figured out. We figured out a bit before I got diagnosed with Crohn's, which was around Christmas time. I think it was actually, ooh, I think it was a couple days after Christmas. I think it might have been the 27th of December. Um, basically, yeah, I, my life was slightly annoying. It was slightly annoying, or what everyone else would consider slightly annoying, because I kept on getting told that I was privileged, that I shouldn't have to complain, that my mental health issues are basically nothing, and I hate that. I hate being undermined. I've always hated authority as well. So the fact that people with authority were also saying it pissed me off even more. But yeah, it did not help anything that was going on with me. So, but I'm doing much better now. Um, I felt like coming on here to say that just because, again, people were undermining my entire trauma, like what I would consider my trauma, and I get people have it worse. There is a war veteran who has argued against a Gen Z woman that his trauma was much worse because he had to deal with the war with a man hanging like half of a man screaming in a tree while his other half was on the floor not moving. Like, I cannot pass that trauma. I definitely can't. I know that for a fact. I'm not going to argue that because that's fucking stupid to argue. But I did feel like people that are being told that their stories don't mean as much just because they have things better than the majority is bullshit. I also think that it's quite important to get out there that I don't get me wrong, I love women's, like, National Women's Month or whatever, something like that, whatever. But like last year, there was a trend of putting, like, making your profile picture purple to support women's rights and women's mental health. I'm not seeing any single trend that is there for a man. Like, what? I'm sorry. Do women not have the right to speak? I'm going to say this now. Women have the rights to everything men do. They have the right to a pay, an equal pay to men. They have a right to a job. They have a right to pay time off if pregnant. They have that right. They have these rights for them. Why argue it? In every country, women, well, I say every country, in the main big countries that have had political issues that are worldwide known, like America, like UK, they have those rights. They have every right that a man has. They have the right to vote. They have the right to fucking drive. They have the right to food. They have the right to speech. They have that right all the time. I hated those profile pictures being made purple, not because I hated the idea of supporting women. I love that. I love that people are like, oh, let's go support women. Because yes, historically women have been undermined. But what I do hate is the fact that no one was even trying to think that maybe it's unfair that it's only happening with the women and that men aren't getting it. That's literally a reason that Men's Mental Health Month is such a big thing now. It's because women try to take it from the men every now and then. There are literally, I'm not saying every woman does. What I'm saying is there are women out there who have seen a man being weak and they have just kicked the that man is dead on the floor and they are kicking a corpse. That's literally what is going on. Like, there is a literal man who has stood up on stage and said, do not use our problems against us in an argument so you can prove a point or win an argument, because that man will never open up again. When you ask if we're okay, we're going to say we're fine, even though we are actually crying our fucking hearts out 5 seconds ago. It doesn't matter who you are to us. If you're even dating them, if you're dating them, that makes it so much more important that you don't use their issues against them, because they will never open up again. and I can confirm that that's true because people that have used my issues against me, when my dad divorced my mum, I felt abandoned by him. I, I got in an argument with a friend, and he went, "Oh, my dad left me. My dad abandoned me." I'm like, "Motherfucker! First of all, just like fucking seconds ago, you were making jokes about it. Third of all, second of all, my dad basically abandoned me. He has shown no fucking care about me, and I was so pissed off about it. I was so pissed off that he had the audacity to try and use his own trauma as an excuse for being angry at me. Because that shit doesn't count. You don't do that. Women don't do that to men. Men won't do it to you. That's simple. You don't break a man's trust and expect him to trust you still. That was a complete side note, but I'm very angry at that. I'm very angry that only women's accounts, first of all, were doing that because I'm assuming that most of the men were like, well, we're not doing it, but so because we're not getting that shit, we're not getting that type of acknowledgement in our own issues. Like what? Like I remember just being so confused and angry about it last year that I was just pissed that people thought that at the time that only women's issues were important enough politically and in society and within communities that men didn't need that very same recognition. Um, yeah, I mean, like I've seen people go off on TikTok and argue their cases with it and going, oh, the reason I have a purple profile picture account is because of this, and if you don't have a profile picture account as well, you aren't supporting women right now. And I'm like, bitch, you're not either. The way you support women is, in my eyes, is by actions. Actions speak louder than words, and they always will, and they always have. If you act in a form of support for a female, mentally, emotionally, or physically, you are supporting them way more than you are by putting up a profile picture as purple. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry to say it, but that's the truth. Um, and I remember commenting, men don't do this because this feels like a publicity stunt. This feels like a way for people to care more about women's issues than they do men's, but in all reality, we should all care about each other's issues just the same amount. Men go through a lot as well, women go through a lot as well. Like, I have been walking home from school behind someone who, like a girl who is in one of my classes, scared that she's going to think I'm about to try and do something to her. I am fucking terrified to walk alone home, like walk home from school a certain in a certain route because of that. I'm scared that they are going to assume I'm trying to follow them. And the only way that gets disproven is once I go off to my house because they go past. They go and take a turn. Meanwhile, I keep going forward. That is my issue. Is like, yes, women are scared every day that they're gonna get touched or something or something. Why did I go to American there? They're gonna have something bad happen to them in broad daylight. I get that. Men are afraid that women are gonna see them that way. Yeah. Okay, that's my rant over about politics. I can't get too political. I know that, but I know that was more of an American politic thing. So I'm just gonna leave that there. It doesn't affect me an entire much amount here in the UK, but I felt like that needed to be said. I will put a trigger warning in the title, hopefully, for the trigger warning of self-harm and suicidal mentions. Um, I'll put that in the title. But yeah, I just needed to get that out there. My entire story issue and basically just everything. Everything I've said in this video can kind of connect in a way. If you're me, you already know. If you're not me, then eh. But yeah, so more recently, my mental health is going better, and I think the fact that my girlfriend was here today, like earlier today, which is why Big Bear Gamer, if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, I couldn't do the podcast at any point at 3 because I couldn't do a podcast at 3 after 3 because she was here at 3. Um, but yeah, so um, I've realized that my mental health has gone better, and my emotional health has gone better. Me and her got to sit on my bed all day, basically, for like hours. She got here around 3, and she left. She left 3 hours ago, basically. So yeah, um, yeah. I again, I just felt like putting my story out there. It just felt like the right time, the right place, the right moment. This video will be uploaded on a Wednesday, so I have enough time to actually do the thumbnail because I'm not gonna have enough time tonight. I'm very tired. Um, but yeah. Also, one more personal thing that if anyone from my school is watching this video and they know it's me, don't get so fucking freaked out when me and my girlfriend kiss. My relationship has nothing to do with you. Like that is something I realized on Friday, this last week, was midway through the lesson because I went to the toilet midway through Crohn's. Um, I was outside the gym that I was about to go back into. My girlfriend and her friend stopped, waited for me. My girlfriend basically held my hands to stop me from going into the gym. Um, Eventually, I kissed her goodbye because she needed to continue what she was doing for PE, and I needed to continue what I was doing for PE. So I kissed her, and then she walked off. Meanwhile, I went back into my lesson. My gym lesson had a mix of boys and girls. There was a group of girls sat on a bench just whispering, and every time I would look over at them, at least one of them was looking at me, and I think that they were whispering about it being embarrassing when I kissed my girlfriend. If anyone has made it to this point in the video and you're from my school and you are one of those girls, don't start being all icky about me kissing my girlfriend. Because what I do in my relationship does not affect you in your life. So stop. Anyways, that's a complete side note that I wanted to get out there. And yeah, I got it out there. Anyways, I think I'm done for the day. I'm very tired. I'm very sleepy. I've yawned like 3 times. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Goodbye.